Don't worry about getting too muscly, because it doesn't just happen overnight. It's like it takes years and years and years unless you're juicing. So what's going on, guys? It's Jacob, Sunday Lifters. Welcome back to the channel. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna keep this video pretty brief this week. Doesn't mean the topic we're covering isn't relevant or I'm gonna intentionally rush through it. I just feel a bit shit, to be fair. I'm a bit under the weather. I wasn't even gonna make a video, but then I remembered I literally said 4 weeks ago I was gonna try and make one video until the end of the year, and I want to try and keep that promise. So here I am. But to compound with that, just to make matters worse, the audio on last week's video, it didn't come out with the microphone, and I thought maybe I just forgot to plug it in. Turns out that wasn't the case, because when I tested it this week, it just wasn't working, so the microphone's broke somehow. I have got another one on order, but it's probably not going to be here for a few days, so hopefully next video I do, it'll be all sorted again. But today's video is all about sort of muscle and weight loss, and how specifically muscle and building muscle is a good long-term weight loss strategy. Now that might sound a little bit paradoxical by nature. Building muscle, you'd think I'm going to put weight on, but not necessarily. Obviously, if you're losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time, muscle pound for pound compared to fat does weigh more, but you don't build muscle anywhere near as fast as you can burn fat. So chances are, if you are main gaining or sort of just burning fat and gaining a little bit of muscle over time, you are actually going to lose weight or stay the same weight. The likelihood that you're going to gain weight is not, well, it's probably, it's not going to happen. We also know that over time, if you're holding more muscle, you can actually have a bit more body fat and appear leaner than you would with, compared to somebody who's at exactly the same body fat percentage but doesn't really have any muscle. So a better way to word this might actually be why building muscle is a good weight or fat control strategy, and I'll explain to you why that is. But before we go into the video, as always, guys, if you could drop it a like, a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already, it massively helps the channel grow, and I do appreciate it. So why would building muscle be a good long-term weight loss strategy? Now, obviously, going to the gym, lifting weights, doing a typical resistance training session for an hour, let's say, you're probably not going to burn that many calories. It's pretty hard to say how many you'll burn, to be honest, because if you're just somebody who sits on your phone between sets and does nothing, obviously you're not going to be burning as many calories as someone like myself, who, not intentionally, but I just find it hard to sit still, so I end up just doing walks around the gym, getting steps in. So someone like me would burn more calories than someone who just sits on the machine waiting for their next set. You could probably expect around maybe 90 calories to 300 calories if you're going pretty intense with it and getting a walk around in there as well. That might even be a bit generous. But the actual process, the lengthy old process, if you're a natural, of going from not having a lot of muscle on your frame to holding much more lean contractile tissue, does mean that you'll be burning more calories on a day-to-day basis just doing nothing. I.e., what you were doing is increasing your NEAT, which I think we've covered before. That is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and in layman's terms, that's just how many calories you burn in a 24-hour period just doing nothing, like your normal day-to-day sort of activities and routines, not non-exercise basically. Muscle tissue requires more calories just to hold on to from your body when compared to something like fat. Muscle is much more metabolically active than a fat cell, for example. So essentially, by adding more muscle mass over a period of time, over years and years of weightlifting training, you are making it so you can actually eat more in a day and not be at risk of putting on fat. The reason I decided to do this video was actually because in a real life scenario at work, I was working with a client who said they wanted to lose weight, and I said to them, we should definitely get you doing 2 full body work. She said she could go to the gym twice a week, and she could do cardio on days outside of the gym. She did intend to do sort of lifts, HIIT, any type of cardio on those days at gym. And I said to her, you'd be much better off doing 2 full body workouts a week and building a bit more muscle, and still doing like your list, your low intensity, steady state cardio on days off, if you're able to do that. She said to me that she didn't want to get too muscly, which is one of my favorite things that people say, to be honest, because you know, it's not that easy to build muscle. Fortunately, it's even harder when you're a female, just because of the nature of sort of male hormones. Even to the point where I watched one of Will Tennyson's videos recently, where he was interviewing loads of bodybuilders at a Gymshark event, and one of them said that he thought Will had the worst genetics out of everyone there, which, you know, is probably not true. It's just because Will's a natty. He's been training for like 10 years, like good, solid training. And, you know, for someone to say that to him, yeah, it was a bodybuilder, but it's not easy to build muscle. It's not actually that easy, especially year round, to look like you're someone who goes to a gym all the time. It's like, I've been training pretty seriously now for, like I say, about 2.5, 3 years, something like that. And nobody ever looks at me and thinks, oh, he goes to the gym. Like, I just look normal when I'm in my clothes. Don't worry about getting too muscly, because it doesn't just happen overnight. It's like, it takes years and years and years unless you're juicing. So the other thing that plays into sort of, you know, building muscle being a good weight loss strategy over time is actually something I covered in a video that I did in the early days of this channel. I'll link it up there. And that is, if you're being smart about training, you're also implementing dietary changes and paying attention to your macros, especially, or at the very minimum, what protein you're getting in. And you're probably going to be eating a lot more protein than you would on a standard sort of, you know, Western diet. Protein has a higher thermic effect than carbohydrates and fats. And again, in layman's terms, what that means is, pound for pound, it takes a lot more energy for your body to break down protein into a state where it can be, you know, all its micronutrients and vitamins, minerals, etc. Its energy can be absorbed by your body. That takes more calories than it does when you're eating carbs and fats, and when they're broken down and consumed and used for the purposes they're used for. So the actual physical element of holding more muscle on your frame, more contractile tissue, upping your metabolism over time, just from, you know, doing nothing, your NEAT going up, compounded with a sort of gym-friendly diet like high protein, or to get really technical, 0.8 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Them two things compounded together are a good sort of weight loss or fat reducing strategy over time, because I'm an example of this, right? I'm not mega muscly, but my metabolism has definitely gone up in the 3 years I've been training. I feel like now it's actually harder for me to put on weight. I can put weight on, and I have put weight on. If you check some of the videos I was doing this time last year, I was a lot leaner than I am now. But I found it quite difficult. Like, sometimes I'm getting like 3,000 calories in a day, thinking, oh yeah, I am going to put some fat on after a few days of doing this. And yeah, you know, calories in, calories out works. I have put weight on, just not as fast as I thought I would. And I think that's just because I'm holding a bit more muscle than I was 3 years ago. So hopefully this helps, guys. I had a little look on YouTube just to see if there was anyone who'd actually made a video saying why building muscle over time is a good weight loss strategy, and I couldn't actually really find anyone talking about it. So hopefully you found this useful. If you did, drop it a like, drop it a comment, consider subscribing. You can follow me on all my socials. It's at SundayLifters on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you can email me at sundaylifters@gmail.com for coaching and workout plans. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. I'll see you back here again very soon.